Have you ever wanted to go fast? Like, really fast? Fast enough to outrun alien gunfire? And then uppercut them in the face so they explode into multicolored xenogiblets? Then boy do I have the game for you. You all probably know from my ULTRAKILL video that I'm a fan of fast-paced FPS, and Viscerafest is yet another game to add to the ever-growing list that scratches that itch with immediate haste. This is a retro shooter in early access developed by ULTRAKILL and published by 1C Entertainment, and one that has been in development for a pretty long time it seems, but finally launched this May with its first chapter. It looks like it's been worth the wait though, because Viscerafest,
are you blind?
Lives up to the name. It tells the story of Caroline, a purple-haired mercenary with facial scars and the pointy teeth that all the best characters have. Seriously, this is peak character design if you want the audience to know your character is just totally feral. Anyhow, Caroline wants to propose to a tiny alien boyfriend, but she needs some funds for a nice expensive ring. Luckily, there's a bounty on a quote-unquote
warlock twat
with a hefty sum on his head that should cover it. And oh boy, does Caroline have the skills to pay the prenuptial bills. Like I said, so far the early access release has only one chapter of the game, which took me just under a couple of hours to get through. A lot of those hours were spent dying. You are going to die. A lot. Make sure to pay close attention to those difficulties because, well, the lowest difficulty here is medium. That's how you know they're not messing around. But me personally, I have far too much ego, so I went with brutal. Also, fun fact, the difficulty names actually change every time you look in the menu. They always have a specific indicator in the description, but the button themselves just have a random phrase. I am afraid of llamas. Well, to be fair, they are kind of scary. So without further ado, let's look at the basics. How does Caroline control? Well, Quake fans will be delighted to hear that you can bunny hop in Viscerafest. And in fact, it's actually the first thing you're even taught to do. That's when I knew this game was gonna be something special. And how fast can you go? Oh, it's fast. It's real fast. Maybe the fastest bunny hopping in a game I've experienced. I don't know how to measure this for sure. I mean, there is the accelerated back hopping in Half-Life 2 speedruns, but I never really taught myself how to do that one. But regardless, you will need this very fast hopping. It will be essential very soon. And if the hopping wasn't enough, there's also a dash. The dash is super important because not only does it give you extra momentum, it also gives you a brief duration of invincibility, commonly known as iframes. If you're not dashing, you're gonna find yourself feeling the hurt very quickly. You see, it becomes very clear very quickly that enemies hurt in this game, like more so than you'd expect. Your health depletes within mere seconds if you're not paying attention. And weirdly, this game can almost feel like Hotline Miami at times because of that. With the constant try and die approach you can have to dealing with encounters. I'm not entirely sure that was the intention, but it does give the game its own unique place amongst the other retro FPS games on their way. I can dig it, but with dying being so easy, it's just as well that Caroline has some good weapons at her disposal. Though they're pretty much what you'd expect for a game of this type. A pistol, a fast-firing gun, a shotgun, a better shotgun, and an explosive launcher. There is also the plague rifle, which deals damage over time on hit. That one is a little different and excels in small spaces actually. But this is absolutely a worthy set of weapons. I mean, the super shotgun has like 4 barrels, I believe. And there are more weapons on the way. But it's not just your guns you'll be using. You'll also be using Caroline's guns, if you know what I mean. Scary Lady Punch Alien. This good. Caroline has a mean punch and you pretty much need to use it to rip and tear your foes into delicious health pickups in order to keep yourself running and gunning, and also to conserve on ammo. It's pretty frugal here. You can do quick jabs or hold it down to do a devastating uppercut. You can even use that uppercut with the dash for maximum effect. Like if you line up a bunch of enemies, you can just plow right through them. And all of this combines in a way where you're hopping, dashing, punching, and uppercutting your way through enemies and bouncing all over the room like the world's angriest game of pinball. It's tough to master, but very, very fun. And Viscerafest absolutely keeps you on your toes with a variety of enemies. The toughest being a sort of robot that shields itself. These took me a couple of encounters to crack, a little bit like the Marauders in Doom Eternal, where you have specific windows of attack. But once I got their patterns down, they became pretty engaging to fight. Even the basic fodder is nothing to sneeze at here though. They can do a lot of damage too. There's a lot here that can catch you off guard, which might make some players instinctively want to save around every corner. But here's the thing. Viscerafest doesn't work that way, as there isn't a manual saving feature. There aren't checkpoints either. In fact, it has a rather unusual save system that uses beacons that you place yourself. It can be tricky because you're never quite sure where best to put them, but it does open up some risk and reward. You can forego using your save and put it somewhere even more useful, but you risk losing more progress in getting there. I am at least thankful that there is an automatic save before bosses at least. That is a godsend. Either way, I found that retrying certain segments repeatedly doesn't get repetitive, since each time you're finding better ways to deal with each problem and take down each enemy. This particular save system discourages the player from just scumming their way through the game and actively encourages them to get better, which I really appreciate, even with this game's often brutal difficulty. I mean, it is kind of my fault for choosing the brutal difficulty in the first place. What really kept me ticking with Viscerafest though was Caroline herself. There's some classic build engine protagonist DNA in this lady, but not in that way. That came out wrong. Keep your DNA to yourself, Mr. Newcomb. What I mean is that she's quippy and full of snarky comments much like the build engine protagonists of yesteryear. And now that I think about it, she's probably closest to Caleb than anyone else.
I've got 2 guns. That should be enough for all of you.
I've got 2 guns. That should be enough for all of you.
Very much so, actually. Like Caleb, she's somewhat of an anti-hero. Very much not a good person, clearly working towards her own end. She also clearly revels in violence, almost getting a perverse delight from tearing aliens apart limb from limb.
It's breakfast time. I'm feeling waffles with a side of blood.
It's great. This lady is totally feral and I adore her. Jana Paulsen puts in such a wonderful performance and I'm eager to hear more. She's not the only voice actor in this either. Of course, once again we have the wonderful Gianni Matrigrano taking up another role. Love you, Gianni.
Dr. Ortiz, this is Brilliant. We've lost contact with the other facilities and our scout drones have not yet returned.
But we also have some voice work from Mega Pieman PhD. I'm sorry, I don't actually know your real name. This is a person who I knew beforehand as a Team Fortress 2 mapper. While he hasn't had an official map yet, he did make the gorgeously unique Halloween map Farmageddon, as well as some really cool other ones like Synthetic and Midwest. I know this is kind of an aside, but I've dabbled in the TF2 mapping community, so it's a bit strange to see this person cross over into one of my other interests in an unexpected way. And it goes without saying, but his voiceover work is great in this too.
You know, many a strange folk pass by here, but yours was certainly not a face I was expecting to see.
Who said that? Who's there?
The levels themselves are pretty great in this game as well. I mean, I was expecting mostly spaceship interiors given, you know, that is the setting, but it manages to keep things pretty varied and in some surprising ways as well. I'd like to see the level design pushed to even weirder places if possible. And I'll admit, there is a little bit of that in one of them which I did very much enjoy. Yes, more of this please. There are 8 levels across the early access release, each full of secrets and enemies to hunt down, as well as these things called scullies. These are, I believe, a form of collectible currency, but the purchases haven't been fully implemented yet. I'm definitely curious to see what sort of things will be able to purchase with these later down the line. The story itself unfolds as you go through these levels. It soon becomes pretty clear that all is not quite as it seems. There's a lot more going on than just a simple bounty hunting job. And Viscerafest did surprise me quite a bit as well with one of the levels, going for a tone that completely caught me off guard in a really great way. Just makes me all the more curious as to where the future updates will take Caroline. Colour me intrigued. Speaking of colours, this game has them. What I mean to say, it's colourful. It's a bad segue. The art direction is incredibly vibrant, and that lends itself well to the gameplay. Everything is clearly visible at a glance, which is pretty much essential given the absurdly high speed you'll be propelling yourself at here. The art direction itself has this cartoony vibe that I also think works well. This game is a little silly, and it's fully aware of that, but that doesn't mean it doesn't take itself seriously when it needs to. Especially in these cutscenes. Goddamn, the art is gorgeous. And the artists did an excellent job with these. Every little detail has so much polish here that it doesn't really feel like early access to me at all. And the music, oh my goodness, it's excellent. For this game, the soundtrack was composed by Marquee Music, whose work I was already aware of before playing the game, because Marquee's great. And Viscerafest music is perfectly suited to its gameplay. It puts you in the perfect mood to get busy killing aliens. Also, spoiler warning, I'm going to talk about a boss here. Skip to this particular time if you don't want to know more. Okay, now that we've got that out the way, holy crap, the end boss of this chapter is brutal and a lot of fun. The Elder Banshee is a stationary enemy, but it has 3 phases, which push the limits of your movement skills to the test, and forces you to improve pretty much on the spot. You have revolving lasers and volleys of projectiles to dodge, attacks in specific spots, and pools of lava, all of which could ruin your day pretty easily. Like all enemies, getting hit here hurts, but each attack really taught me how to use my momentum and dashes more effectively, as well as how best to utilise my arsenal. I even started to notice here that I could quick switch a bit like Doom Eternal or ULTRAKILL to maximise my damage output. And this is where the game began to click a lot more. This new breed of movement shooter we've been seeing lately is just so much fun, so engaging, and I'm pleased to say that I think Viscerafest will have a strong place among them. After beating this boss though, I felt almost destroyed. As a fair warning, this game can be exhausting. And this was my reaction on stream after finishing that boss encounter for the first time. No, oh no. Come on. Alright. Oh, I knocked off my flask.
Scumbag.
Facility integrity critical. Evacuate immediately.
No! Wait! With such a strong emphasis on movement, I think like ULTRAKILL, this is a game that people are going to play a lot of. To spend time mastering and discovering unique techs to blast through the game. I'm excited for that. In fact, I'm fully expecting someone like ULTRAKILL's resident tech master Herb Messiah to release a video soon beating the Elder Banshee with only the fists. Oh, no, never mind. He's already done it. Of course he has. Even as an early access release, I do think Viscerafest is worth your time. It earned its stripes amongst the current retro FPS champions with relative ease. Very curious to see where this game will go in future episodes, and somewhat afraid of the brutal challenges ahead. Viscerafest kicked my butt, and I enjoyed it. And I know that I've been pretty much exclusively positive about this game, but really it's just that good. And I just love fast-paced shooters. Give me a break, so I can break more aliens. I like breaking aliens.
You're crazy.